So in the previous session, we've created our first assignment or program, and we've tried to implement whatever we learned so far and try to capture all of that in that requirement. I highly recommend that before you watch this video, you practice whatever we did in the last video, create that program so that you're comfortable writing ABAP code, also complete the assignment that is due. So try that requirement, and once you're finished with that, then start with this video. Now that we got our first assignment or first program away, and I'm assuming you're much more comfortable with ABAP code now, so let's explore more about those topics. So in this video, I want to discuss about internal tables. So we'll try to understand more about internal tables, the different types of internal tables that you can define, how they behave, how you can access them. Instead of discussing everything in one video, I want to split this topic into multiple videos. So in this particular video, we'll discuss about the different types of internal tables, what are the basic differences between them, how you define them, and how you can access the data within those internal tables. In the next video, I'll talk about the keys that you can define for your internal table. Each internal table can have a primary key and a secondary key. So we'll understand about that. And then in another video, we'll talk about the row types, what type of fields you can have in an internal table. So I'll split this topic into multiple videos so that it will be easy for you to follow. So in this session, let's understand the types of internal tables and how you define them in your ABAP programs and how you access the data within those internal tables. And I'll also help you understand where you can use which type of internal table. Okay, internal tables are one of the important concepts you need to have really good understanding about, because most of the times when you're writing the programs, you will be dealing with internal tables. So internal tables have few properties, you can say. One is row type, table category, key of the table. Okay, it is these terms you should be familiar with. What is row type? Row type simply specifies what type of fields your row of an internal table can have. Can it have just fields, or can it have another internal table, or can it have a reference object? So internal tables support all of them. So you can either have individual fields in your internal table, or you can also add one internal table as a field of another internal table to make it more complex. And you can also have a reference type. In the sense, you can have one object, a class, as the field of your internal table. So this will be dealing with later because it's more complicated. Then comes the table category. We'll be discussing about this table category. Table category simply specifies what type of internal table are you defining. There are three types of internal tables that you can define in ABAP. One is your standard table, second is sorted table, and the third is hash table. Okay, so these are the three different types of internal tables that you can define in your ABAP programs. Let's look at how you define them first. Let's say I want to define an internal table which is having all the fields of this MAKT structure in the database table. Just to save time, I won't define a local structure, but you can define a local structure and refer your internal table to that local structure as well. We've seen that already in the previous videos. If I want to define an internal table, I use the keyword data, and I'll follow the naming convention IT underscore. Let's say IT MAKT. If I say type table of MAKT, then this defines a standard table. So either I can say type table of, or I can also say type standard table of. Either way, it defines the standard table. If you want to define a sorted table, you'll say type sorted table of. If you want to define a hash table, you say type hashed table of. Okay, so this is how you define these three types of internal tables. So while declaration, if you say type standard table of, it will define a standard table. If you say type sorted table of, it will define a sorted table. If you say type hash table of, it will define a hash table. Okay, and there are few things you need to keep in mind while defining these internal tables. For example, standard tables. For standard tables, the key definition is not mandatory. Every internal table can have something called a primary key and a secondary key, which we'll discuss again in detail later. But when you're declaring this table, for standard tables, it is not mandatory that you specify the key. It has one default key, which implies that all the fields of your internal table are part of the key. So the system will automatically define a default key for standard tables, which includes the complete row. Okay. For example, in this MAKT table, there are 5 fields. We've seen that. If I say type standard table of MAKT, then the key of this table by default will include all those 5 fields. Or just to make it easy for you, let me create a structure quickly. Let's say matnar type matnar, spras type spras, MAKTX type MAKTX. Let's assume these are the 3 fields of my internal table, and I'll refer my table to this TY MAKT. Okay. Now, since I'm referring my IT MAKT type standard table of TY MAKT, my IT MAKT row consists of these 3 fields. Okay. And for standard tables, I can end my declaration here. I don't need to specify anything more. By default, the system will add this line. Even if I don't write it in my code, the system will add this line when creating this internal table, which basically means that this table is having a default key, which includes all these 3 fields. So if your internal table has 10 fields, then all those 10 fields will be part of your default key. Okay. Either you can say with the default key, or you can ignore it, the system will add it for you. So it's not mandatory. Your standard table, while declaring, specifying the key is not mandatory. The key for a table again can have 2 things. It can either be unique key or it can be non-unique key. When I say unique key, that means that the key cannot be repeated. For example, if I define a work area for this, and if I try to put some data in this internal table by filling this work area first, for example, let's say matnar WA-MAKT spras, let's say E, and WA-MAKT MAKTX equals to test. Now I said that for standard table, by default, all the fields will be part of the key. So the key of this table is, the primary key of this standard table is matnar spras MAKTX. And if I add this row to the internal table, if I say append WMAKT to IT MAKT, then this record will be added to the internal table. Now, if this table is having a unique key, and if I try to add the same row again, because for standard tables, the key is all the fields. So if I add the same row again, and if this table supports only unique key, for example, then I cannot add this. It cannot have a second entry with the same key. It has to be different. Either one of them should be different, right? Assuming if I have just matnar as the key field for this table, then the matnar cannot be repeated in this table. It can have only one entry with one matnar. I cannot add a second record with the same matnar if it is unique key. But if it is a non-unique key, then you can have multiple rows with the same key in your internal table. So that's the difference between a unique key and a non-unique key. Now for standard tables, they only support, so first point is key definition is not mandatory. While declaring the internal table, it has the key, but you don't need to declare it when you are defining the internal table. And the second is it supports only non-unique key. That means you cannot have a unique key for your standard tables. Okay, it supports a non-unique key. So you can have any number of entries with the same key in your internal table. It won't complain, right? And another thing is, whenever I'm adding a row to this internal table, it generates a linear index. Okay, so this table supports index. If you want to see this in debug mode, so if I look at ITMAKT, the moment I add a record to this internal table, you can see it is generating something called an index, saying that the first row is this, and then when I add a second row, it will say second row is this. So there's some linear index that is generated for the table. Okay, in debug mode it shows for every table, but internally the standard table has a index. That means that we've discussed when we talked about internal tables earlier, we've seen that there are two ways you can read the data from an internal table. You can read it either by the key or you can read it by index, right? So since standard table supports index, you can read the data by index for these type of tables. Okay. The key points: key definition is not mandatory, supports only non-unique keys, and it has a linear index. Okay. We also call it an index table. So internal tables which support index, we call them index tables. Now coming to sorted tables. For sorted tables, for example, if I say type sorted table of TYMAKT, I cannot end my definition there. If I click do a syntax check here, it will complain saying that you have to specify the key. The key specification is incomplete. Okay. So while declaring the table, key definition is mandatory. Unlike standard tables which uses a default key, for sorted tables you have to explicitly specify the key while defining the internal table. So I have to say with this table, sorted table supports both unique and non-unique key. Unique and non-unique key. Okay, since it supports both, I have to specify whether I want a unique key or a non-unique key. So I can say with unique key and list the fields. For example, I can make only matnar as the key, or I can list matnar spras as the key, whichever key you want. If you want, I can specify all the three fields as my key. It's up to you. Okay, so based on the data you're processing, you can define your key for the internal table. Generally, if I'm planning to retrieve data from a database table, the database table also has a key. So I'll match my internal table key with the database table key. For example, for MAKT, the key is matnar and spras. So when I'm defining my internal table, I'll also keep the same key. Okay, just to ensure that when I'm selecting the data is consistent. Or else I can also say with non-unique key and specify the key. The difference is that if I use with unique key, then I cannot have the second entry with the same key. Whereas if I say with non-unique key, then I can have multiple rows with the same key. Okay, so your sorted table supports both unique and non-unique keys. And it also supports index. So whenever I'm adding a record to this table, it will create one linear index internally, so I can read the data either by index or by key. Both ways I can do it because sorted tables also support index. If I say index tables, I'm generally referring to these standard and sorted tables because these two tables support index. Hash tables do not support index. Now, when you're working with the standard table, I can use this append statement to add the record, and this append statement will always add the record at the end of the table. With sorted tables, I can also use the append statement, but there is some, as the name suggests, sorted table means it automatically sorts the entries by key. Let's add few records and see. Okay, so here let's make it 300, 200, 400. Okay, and I'll also keep one repeated entry, and I'll keep it as a unique key. Let's see what happens. For sorted tables, it will automatically sort the records based on the key, whereas for standard tables it doesn't really sort anything implicitly. As you are adding the records, it will keep on appending at the end of the table. It doesn't look at the records at all. But whereas sorted tables consider the key and sort the entries as per the key by default implicitly. For standard tables it doesn't do it implicitly, but if you want you can do it explicitly by using a keyword called sort. I'll show that also. So when I'm using this sorted table with unique key, in this case, when I use the append statement, it will add the record to the internal table. So the first record is added to the internal table. Now it will also add the second record at the end, right? The second record is added. Now when I'm trying to add this third record, as per the sort sequence, this should be the second record in the internal table because 200 is less than 300. So, but if I'm using append statement, the system will try to force this record to be added at the end, and there is a conflict because as per the sorted table, the record should be sorted as per the key, whereas the append statement is trying to force the record at the end of the table. So there is a conflict. And another conflict that you'll notice is, since we've defined this as a unique key, and if I force the system to add a record which already exists in the table, there is another conflict, right? So whenever there is a conflict, the append statement won't work. It will give a runtime error. Okay, if I execute this append statement now, I should get a runtime error because there is a conflict, and it is generating this short dump, and it says an attempt was made to insert or change a row in internal table, type sorted table, position 2. This corrupted the sort sequence defined for the table by its key. Since there is a conflict, the system could not add that record, so it generated this runtime error. This we call short dump. Okay. So to avoid that, you won't have this problem with standard tables because there is no sort sequence, there is no uniqueness of key, so you can use append statement. It will simply add it at the end. So with sorted tables, what we do is, instead of using the append statement, we use this insert statement. So the syntax is insert wmkt into table itmkt. Okay, the syntax is insert your work area into table, your internal table name. I'll keep this row at the top so that I can show you. Now let's see what happens. Always make sure you activate your program before executing. So if you keep any breakpoints, it will load the debugger. If the program is not active, you cannot keep a breakpoint. So now when I say insert, I'm actually telling the system to decide on your own where to insert this record. Instead of forcing it to add it at the end by using an append statement, I'm telling the system, you decide. So it is adding at the first row. This is going as the second row, 300 material number. And when I add this third row, 200, you'll notice that the system will automatically insert this as the second row and move the 300 material number to as the third row. See, it has added this as the second row, and whatever was there in the second row, it was moved below. So the system is taking care of sorting the records. So if you want the records to be sorted by default with the key, then you can use a sorted table. With standard tables, it doesn't happen automatically. You have to manually sort the records. Now, I already have one entry with 200E test, and I'm trying to add another record with the same key, and I've defined my internal table as a unique key. If I had used append statement here, it would again give a runtime error. But since I'm using insert statement, the system will ignore this record. I've executed the insert statement, but you don't see that record being added to the internal table. It's simply ignored because that key already exists in the table. If I had defined this as non-unique key, then it would have added this record as the third row in the internal table. Because with non-unique key, you can have multiple rows with the same key, right? And when I execute this, it will add as the fourth record. Okay, so that is your sorted table. So sorted tables supports index, and records are by default sorted by key implicitly. Here I can say no implicit sort. So it doesn't sort. So if it is a standard table, then I have to use a statement called sort it MAKT by matnar. If I want to sort by matnar, I can do this. If I want to sort by matnar spas, I can do this. You cannot use sort statement on sorted tables because they are already sorted. Whereas if I'm using a standard table, then I can use this statement to sort the internal table data anytime I want. So this is your sorted tables. Now the third type of table is your hash table. And for hash table also, like sorted tables, key definition is mandatory. You need to specify the key while defining the internal table. If I don't specify the key, I'll get a syntax error. And it supports only unique keys. Unique key only. So you cannot have a non-unique key for your hash tables. So we use generally hash tables we use if we are sure that about the uniqueness of data. So if you're fetching some data from a database table and you're using complete key in your where clause, then you're ensured that the data will be unique. Each row will be unique. But if you don't use the complete key, then it can return repeated rows, right, in the select query. In that case, don't use hash table because it will give a runtime error, because hash table supports only unique keys. And it also does not support index. There's no index. It doesn't create any index when you're adding the records to the internal table. That means I cannot read this table using index access. For example, for standard and sorted tables, I can write a read statement like this: read table itmakt into wmakt index 2. I can do this for sorted and standard tables because they have linear index. Whereas for hash table, I cannot do that. If I try to read it by index, it will complain. You cannot use explicit or implicit index operations on tables of types hashed. So it doesn't support index, so you cannot read by index. You have to read by key only. Okay, no index and no sorting. Okay, it doesn't really sort or anything. So these are the key differences between these three types of tables. But where is this useful? The major difference comes when you try to read the data from these internal tables. How the system will try to find the matching record that you are trying to read from that internal table. So for example, if I say read table ITMAKT into WMAKT with key matnar equals to 300, then the system has to scan this internal table and find me the row where matnar is 300, right? How much time does it take to scan the table and how it is scanning the table is what differentiates between these three types of tables. And there's a huge difference. To understand that, we need to understand how the system reads the data. For standard tables, let's say you have a table with multiple rows. Okay, let's say there are two fields and multiple rows. When I use the read statement for a standard table, it uses something called linear search. Okay, so it will basically check if the first record is matching my criteria. So if I say where with key matnar equals to 100, then it will check if this first row matnar is 100. If it is not, then it will check the second row if it is 100. If it is not, it will go to the third row. So it performs this search like this, one by one row at a time. So it scans the whole table row by row till it finds the matching record. And if your internal table has too many rows, let's say you have 1 million records in your internal table, then obviously it will take a lot more time for it to scan the whole table and find the matching record. The moment it finds the matching record, it will return that, copy that row to the work area and quit scanning. Okay. So standard table performs linear search. And it is very slow. Linear search is always very slow. Okay, so if you have 1 million records and you're trying to read one record out of that, then the read statement will take a lot of time to execute in your program. So your program's performance will also be affected because of that. Because your program has to wait for the read to complete and then it can go and execute the next statement. So for the standard tables, it performs a linear search. Now, if you have a sorted table and if you read it using a key, then it performs something called a binary search. Okay. In binary search, it doesn't really scan every row. Okay. What it will do is it will divide all the rows into half and it will take the middle path. Let's say this is the middle row. And it will check if this table, if this row is matching the given condition. Let me use an Excel file for this. For example, let's say you have material number 100, 200, and in sorted table, anyway, all the records are sorted by the key. So you'll have entries sorted automatically. Like this, let's say there are so many materials. And when I ask it to query this table, read table ITMAKT, where with key matnar equals to, let's say 1600. In a standard table, it will check if the first entry is 1600, then it will go to the second entry if it is 1600, third entry. So it will check every row by performing a linear search. Whereas for sorted tables, it will divide the whole rows into half. So out of 28, it will go to the 14th row. And it will check if this is 1600. If it is not 1600, then it will check whether for 1600 it should go up or down. So 1600 is greater than 1400, right? Whatever it is checking now is 1400. It will compare the value I'm asking it to find, and that value is greater than the current value. So it will divide the remaining into half. Okay, then it will hit the middle path. Let's say 2000. Now it will check whether this is greater or less than the value I'm comparing. So 1600 is less than 2000. So it will divide the remaining this into half and it will check. So in 3 or 4 attempts, it could locate the entry. Right now this is 1600. Whereas with standard tables, it would take 16 hits before it finds my entry. So sorted table uses this binary search and it is much faster compared to linear search, but it is still higher side. It still depends on the number of records you have. So the time it takes for the read statement to execute is directly proportional to the number of entries you have in your internal tables. The more entries you have, the more time it will take to read that internal table. Standard tables are much slower. Sorted tables are faster compared to your standard tables because they perform binary search. Now hash tables do not actually check the data that is there in the row. What they do is they only support the key, and when you're reading the hash table using this key, whenever I'm adding a record to this internal table, it generates something called a hash algorithm. It uses a hash function to identify the memory where this particular row is stored. So for example, it will keep a record of saying that 100 is stored in A1 memory, right? Similarly, 200 is stored in A2, something like that. This is not how it does, but I'm just giving you one example. So it uses a hash function to identify the memory in which that particular key is stored. It only keeps a record of that. When I try to read this table, it again uses the hash function. So if I say where matnar equals to 200, using the hash function, it will identify the memory in which that record is stored and retrieve whatever is stored in that memory. It doesn't really compare the value while searching the internal table. Whereas for linear search and binary search, it was actually checking the values and comparing them and trying to match that value with what I'm trying to look up. But with hash tables, it doesn't do that. It doesn't even know what is the value in that memory. It's simply whatever value you are specifying in the key while reading, it will simply identify the memory where that particular row is stored and it will copy that row into your work area. Okay. So hash tables are much faster and they are always consistent. That means it will take the same amount of time to read an internal table which is having 100 records or 1 million records. It doesn't matter. So the search time is not directly proportional to the number of records. Whereas for standard tables and sorted tables, the search is directly proportional to the number of records. The more records you have, the more time it takes. Whereas for hash tables, it's always constant. If it takes 1 second to read a table with 100 records, it will take the same 1 second to read a table with 1 million records as well. Okay, because it is not really scanning the table to find the record. It uses some internal hash algorithm to identify the row of a table based on the given key. So that way it is very fast. If you really want to have good performance in your program, try to use a hash table wherever possible. But the only downside is you have to have unique key in your table. You cannot have a non-unique key. So if you are not too sure about the uniqueness of data, then you cannot use hash tables. But if you are sure about the uniqueness of data, you can go ahead and use the hash tables. Now this is applicable only if you are using the complete key in your read statement. So when I'm writing this read statement, I have the option to use either the table key or the free key. Okay. So for example, if I say read table itmakt into wmakt with table key, if I specify this statement with table key and give the complete key. So for this table, matnar and spras are the key fields. So I have to match both matnar and spras. Matnar equals to something, space, spras equals to something. If I want to read only by matnar or only by spras, I cannot use the table key. When I use table key, I have to mandatorily specify the complete key in my read statement. Only then it will use either linear search or binary search or hash function depending on the type of table. So since this we defined as sorted table, it will use binary search. If this is defined as hash table, then it will use the hash function to read. And it is applicable only when I use this with table key addition while reading the record. Otherwise, if I don't use this with table key, if I simply say with key, that we call the free key, then you are not restricted to use the complete key. I can either read by just MATNAR or just PRAS or both, or I can also include MAKTX. So it's my wish. We are free to use any field, and when you use this free key, irrespective of the type of table, it will always perform a linear search. It will perform a linear search if it is a standard table, sorted table, or hash table. Okay. This things that we discussed about linear search, binary search, and hash algorithm are applicable only when you are using this table key. If I'm using a free key, it really doesn't matter what type of table it is. It will always perform a linear search. Okay. So that is your 3 types of tables and how they are different from each other. So in summary, I can say for standard tables, you don't have to specify the key. It supports only non-unique key, and it supports linear index, and it doesn't really sort the records. Whereas sorted tables, you have to specify the key, and it can contain both unique and non-unique key. It supports the index, so you can use index access, and it automatically sorts the records based on the key implicitly. And for hash tables, again, key you have to define, supports unique key only, no index, no sorting. Okay. And when you are reading the internal table, we can use free key or table key. When I use table key, it will perform linear search for standard tables, binary search for sorted tables, and uses the hash function for hash tables. And we've also understood that when I'm using a table key, linear search is slow because it checks every record. Binary search is faster because it is dividing the values and accordingly trying to figure out where exactly the row is stored. And hash function doesn't really check the record, so it's always constant. The read time is always constant for a hash table if you're using table key. But if I'm using free key, always performs linear search irrespective of the table. Okay. Now, it is not always flexible when you're writing your programs. It is not always flexible to read these internal tables based on the complete key. So most of the cases we end up using free key. So how can I use a free key to get the flexibility and still achieve that performance improvement? Okay, that we can do it by using something called secondary keys. So that's what we'll be discussing in the next video. So for now, if you can understand these concepts about these 3 types of internal tables, that should be good enough. So in the next video, we'll explore more about these different types of internal tables.